Hi, I'm Amy, and this is A-Star Reads, and welcome to my book review of The Last Ones Left Alive by Sarah Davis-Goff. I'm excited about this one because the publisher sent this to me, a physical copy of the book, from Flatiron Books for an honest review, and this is my first time receiving an actual book. I've done a few of the NetGalley ARCs, and those are all electronic. When they asked me if I would rather have an electronic copy or a book, well, I like books better, so I was really excited to receive this in the mail and get into it because it sounded very interesting. It's post-apocalyptic sci-fi horror. And there's definitely horror elements in this because it has some pretty gory scenes, but then it's sci-fi because of the post-apocalyptic world. This story is about a young woman named Orpin. She was raised on this little teeny island of Slanbeg, which is really small off the west coast of Ireland, I think. And during this apocalypse, we don't actually find out what happened, but we know that men screwed up something. And there are now Skrakes, which are kind of zombie-like in the sense that they are the undead, and they're completely disgusting and rotted, and their bodies are just gross, but they're very powerful and very strong, and I think they've killed off a lot of the people because there's really not very many people left. Orpin was raised by her mother and her mother's lover, Maeve, and Maeve was really instrumental in teaching Orpin how to combat Skrakes and how to defend herself and how to survive out in the world on her own. Ideally, they would have just stayed on the island because Skrakes couldn't get to the island and they would have just stayed there and not had any issues. But Orpin has always wanted to meet other people. She's never in her whole life ever seen other people, except for in books and different old pictures that she could find. And she doesn't want to be alone. She doesn't want to be left alone when her mother and Maeve die eventually. And she's been dying to go to Phoenix City, which is this place in Ireland where apparently there are other people. Her mother ends up getting bit and turned into a Skrake, and then eventually Maeve gets bit as well. So once it happens, Orpin goes with Maeve, even though Maeve is changing, and her dog and a couple of supplies, and they head off Slanbeg Island and they go into Ireland. And Orpin has a goal of crossing Ireland to find Phoenix City. And once she finds Phoenix City, hopefully she'll have people to be around. So I ended up really liking this a lot more than I expected to. And the reason I say that is because when you first start reading this, it's a very unique writing style. It's somewhat stream of consciousness in the way that you're in Orpin's brain and she is thinking the way she talks, which is a bit different than we're used to. Not hugely so, it's not that abnormal, but it's just a little different. And so in the beginning I was like trying to get used to the way she talks, and once I did, then I really was able to get through it a lot faster and get into it a lot more. It takes a while to develop the characters in this because each chapter is set up so that one chapter will be in the present time, you're with Orpin and she's traveling across Ireland. And then the next chapter will be a flashback to her life before leaving the island. So you're slowly getting the history behind Orpin's life. And as you do that, you start building her character a bit. I wouldn't say that the characters in this are ones that I really got attached to. I ended up liking Orpin in the end, but it took a while. She definitely holds you back. She's not letting you in easily. And that's true of her as a person because she had to be very careful. Her life has been lived in fear, really, and she doesn't know who she can trust or how long she'll be alive for. There's just so many things that can go wrong in this story. And what I really, really liked about it is the tension. There was always a bit of tension, and you built up this fear so that when you start getting into this book, it's pretty quick to go through because you're like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And although there were moments when I felt like it was a little more traveling than I would have liked, I would have liked a little more action, I still ended up liking what I got. Would I have liked a little more developed story? Yes. I would have liked to know a little bit more about what caused the apocalypse. I mean, it was alluded to here and there, but a little more in-depth information would have been nice. And then there were other characters in the story that I really liked, and I would have liked to know more about them. But this book covers such a short period of time that you really don't have a lot of time to get to know these other characters. So ultimately, I thought it was very uniquely written, and I did enjoy the way the writing style was once I got used to it. I felt like the story built a lot of tension, which is perfect for a horror thriller story. It was really interesting to see what the world would be like in a post-apocalyptic situation where nobody is around. There's nobody there. And what's more interesting is seeing how Orphan was raised, considering she was born in this post-apocalyptic period and she never knew what life was like before that. She yearned for it because of things she's read or seen, but she's never actually had any experience with life before the apocalypse. And so I thought that was fascinating, a different take, because usually when you look at these post-apocalyptic books, a lot of times it's like during the apocalypse or the very end of the apocalypse into the period, whereas this one's well after the apocalypse. I'd probably give it about a 4-star, and I do recommend it. I think it would be interesting if you like post-apocalyptic books that are a little more literary fiction and have quite a bit of gruesomeness, then I think you'll enjoy this one. If you've already read it, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it, because I don't know if this would be for everyone, but I did enjoy it. And if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe now so you can see more book reviews for other books that I get a chance to read in the future. And thank you so much for watching.